took that same example of Facebook, which collaborated with Skype. And what was the reason for this cooperation? And cooperation is always a mutual understanding, right? And there is certain objectives that they set for any kind of cooperation. So why did they cooperate with one another? What was their interest? What was their vested interest? What was the interest of Facebook for collaborating with Skype? Yes, what was the vested interest of Facebook for collaborating with Skype?
Video calling feature.
Exactly, the
Video calling feature.
the video conferencing, video calling feature, which was missing in Facebook, as a result of which it found Skype to be the best collaborator.
LockDP.
And what was the advantage for Skype? What was the vested interest for Skype? There's a mutual objective, right? For Facebook, there was an objective to bring in video calling feature. For Skype, what was the objective?
Official conference app.
For Skype, the
Reach.
objective was reach. Very good.
Reach.
Yes, it was reach. Facebook had reached every household, but Skype was known only in the business cycles or only in the business circles. So obviously, for Skype, it was reach. It was covering that market. So you have an objective when you get into any kind of cooperative strategy. At the end of the day, we don't know whether it becomes successful or not. Because in the case of Skype, it was not a success. Skype lost its importance. Right? And Facebook gained its importance because they could get the intellectual capital of Skype and could progress through their research and development and bring in the same feature in their organization. So it was a winning streak for them, for Facebook. But for Skype, which was left in the lurch after Facebook became independent, Skype lost its prominence. Because Facebook could do multiple things, while Skype was only meant for video calling. So that is something that didn't go well with one party, but went well with the other party. So let's look at the concept of cooperative strategy. The last session that we did something related to international strategy, right? And when we talked about international strategy, we looked at three aspects of international strategy. And what are they? Global strategy, domestic strategy or multi-domestic strategy, and transnational strategy, right? So your international strategy was divided into three areas, and we looked at all these three areas with various examples. Now we move to something called cooperative strategy, which is actually the beginning of any kind of acquisition or merger. Because the company usually tests the water before it, wants to swim. And swimming is, acquiring it or merging it. And this is, again, quite popular with companies like Reliance, which used Grab as their logistic partner and then later on acquired Grab. So they initially start with cooperative strategies and then they move on to acquiring. Did you not notice this in IBM case?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
ILOG, they had 10 years partnership, and after that they have a acquisition.
Exactly. So it was a 10 years of cooperative strategy followed by acquisition. Right? So cooperative is always cooperative or collaborative strategies are actually the companies try to find an edge on whether they could acquire the company or merge with the company. So let's look at the concept of cooperative strategy. It is afterwards, because cooperative strategy will actually give you an idea about whether it is suitable to match with the company, right? Because an acquisition is a far stronger strategy, wherein you may not be in a position to go back. Like Tata acquired Chorus, and later on there was a lot of repentance, but it could not go back. But when you start with a cooperative strategy, you're actually like testing the waters, right? Finding out whether
So,
it's
ma'am,
suitable for you.
this corporate strategy comes under risk management, right?
Yes, of course. In fact, in all kinds of strategy, there should be risk management, right?
But
Because
sometimes, because, ma'am, you said acquisition we can't take back if we take decision, but others can we flexible to move up and down.
yeah,
So
that's
it
right,
might not
Harshad.
become under risk management according to me.
Yeah, that's right, Harshad. But then, see, risk management is a part of business. And for every strategy, unless and until you also plan your risk management, it can be disastrous. So risk management is not specific to only acquisition or merger. It is risk management is part of every strategy. What happens if the strategy fails? It's a risk you're taking. And how do you manage this risk? It's something that you need to plan, isn't it? So risk management is a terminology, or it's again a part of every strategy, because unless and until you are able to manage risk, you are going to be in deep trouble. And there are n number of ways to manage risk, isn't it? When you have taken up this PGDM program, you must also have a risk management technique in case you don't get a job, right? It's going to be risky. You won't have any avenues to earn money. So what do? You have a plan B. So risk is everywhere. Risk is in all kinds of actions, and and to manage risk is important. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Harshad?
No, no, ma'am.
So as I mentioned, strategy is where the firms work together to achieve a shared objective. There's a specific objective for which they work. So you can actually see resources, capabilities, core competencies. And the partnership of firms happen for these three reasons. Any strategic alliance that you would see would be based on either sharing resources, sharing capabilities, or sharing the competencies. So in IBM case, um, what was it? Was it resources, capabilities, or core competencies?
And capabilities.
Okay. Example?
Then because they want to expand their horizon other than the core competencies, like in suppose what is that? ILOG, in that thing they have initially had a cooperative agreement, and later on they had go with semiconductor. This thing, semiconductor is not their part. I mean, it's their chip making and all. They want to improvise and innovate there. So outside their parameter, I mean their perimeter, they are going with the strategic alliance outside their core competencies and try to learn new things. And after that, they are acquiring that and they are making them into a core competencies again.
Right. So what was initially the core competency of IBM?
Hardware.
Absolutely. Hardware was a core competency, right? And what was the reason for IBM to uh, get into a cooperative strategy with ILOG, ILOG or whatever, ILOG, right?
They basically wanted to like make their mark into the software field also. So they went for that iLog because they wanted to expand their market and business.
Exactly. So here there is a little bit of diversification that's happening in your business, right? And also, when you are taking the cooperation of another organization for certain capabilities of theirs, you are building another core competency for yourself. So, resources, capabilities, core competencies, where are they used? They are used either to develop, manufacture, or distribute, right? Either you use some technicalities from another company, technical know how of other companies, and use them to manufacture, or you develop your market reach, by using cooperative strategies. You could also use it for distribution, certain other parts of the value chain process or supply chain process. And ultimately, what does it lead to? It leads to goods and services. Yeah, I'm actually in Patna today. Anybody from Patna?
No, ma'am.
Nobody's from Patna. Okay, from all the three batches. Fine. If you were there, then I could have met you today. So now when I travel, I will come to one of your locations and meet you all. And I travel quite often during the season. So I'll keep telling you where I am so that, if you're around, then we could catch up. Because you're not going to come to class. Pardon? No, no, official, official. I can't tour the country with unofficially now.
MPP around might be.
Yeah, and also we also have to create visibility. There are places where we are not known. So I travel to also talk to
Mhm.
students, meetups with students. Jaipur? Okay, on 28th, I'm in Jaipur for an FTP, Faculty Development Program. I'll catch up. Okay. In fact, all the three, myself, Rachna ma'am, and Jayanti ma'am, all the three are there. So we do a lot of such sessions, usually throughout the year, but more during the campaign time, especially from December onwards, we begin the campaign. Yeah, we'll catch up. I'll let you know once I'm there, and we will catch up. Maybe you can come over to where we are put up. We'll catch up over dinner or lunch or some time during the day. Okay. Sure, sure, Aditi. We'll take your support definitely. So this is again a cooperative strategy. We talk to colleges, tell them what we are, and we ask them to also convey our education program to their students. So this is a cooperative strategy. Today, today is a day when you have to go by either collaborative or cooperative manner of conducting your business. In fact, for us as individuals also, it is important to have good interpersonal skills. You don't need to fight for everything. You need to many a times accept what others say. And that makes it easier for you to be a leader, because a leader should know how to accept. A leader should know how to be humble. And all of you are doing a leadership program. A PGDM program is a leadership program. So prepare yourself for that. And unfortunately, you could not come to the campus, and the actual learning happens when you're with your team, when you're with your classmates, when you're with students from other cultures. That's the actual learning. Because corporates today look at people who can gel in their organization. Believe me, out of the 100 corporates that come to campus, 99 of them will be looking for attitude, for the values that you possess, for you as a person. The moment you open your mouth, they know what you are. Whether you're humble, whether you're intelligent, whether you are capable of understanding, whether you have the learning power, all this is what they look at. They believe that you can learn the job. But if you do not have, or if you do not possess the learning attitude, the positive nature, the team skills, interpersonal skills, then you're not a fit for the organization. So in fact, yesterday I was talking to LogicServe, which has picked up a lot of our students for digital marketing. And the CEO very simply put it. He said that we are there to train the students. 3 months of training is what we would give. All that we want from the student is attitude, positive attitude. We don't want conflicts from students. We want them to gel with every individual of the organization, should have the best of team skills, should have a very positive mindset, should not say no to everything that needs to be done, should be confident, should have good communication skills, should be very creative, should be analytical at the same time. So these are skills that employers want. The rest of it you can learn. It is no big gyan, that's happening in the corporate. You just have to learn. And for that learning, you should have a certain mindset, which you need to build. So we move on with cooperative strategy. So there are types of strategic alliances also. I think we have done this before as well. I'm not too very sure about it. But then when we talk about strategic alliances, we talk about joint venture, right? Where you are equal partners. Both the companies have equal share, equal profit, and equal losses as well. When we talk about equity strategic alliance, we are talking about not having equal shares, okay? Because there are multiple shareholders for this particular alliance. Non-equity strategic alliance is something like a contract. And today, if you look at organizations, especially in the HR department, you find a lot of contractual arrangements made with consultancy firms. The companies want employees in contractual basis. They don't want to, they don't want to pitch in their energy and money on employees because the employees are likely to leave in a year or two. So they give them time. You work for 3 years and then you come on roll. Till then you are on contractual basis. And who is this contract with? It's a consultancy. And they would maintain the payroll, the attendance, and all the details about the employees. So it could be that contract is given to supply, produce, or distribute a firm's goods or services. And there is no equity sharing here. There is only payment for the payment as per the MOU. As per the understanding, a payment is made to the company with whom you enter into a contract. That's a non-equity alliance. Now, why are alliances important, or why is the cooperation between organizations important? Here again, we are looking at 3 kinds of cycles, which we have already spoken in the earlier sessions. Slow market cycle, slow standard cycle market, and fast cycle market. These are the 3 cycles. As we know, slow is like the blue ocean, right? You are gaining access to a restricted market. You are establishing something very new in that market. You are trying to build a stability for your product or service. There could be a lot of government norms and regulations. So this is a slow cycle market where you may have collaborations by foreign companies that want to enter the Indian terrain. So you would have a Tata and AIG. AIG is a foreign company which would want to also capture the Indian market share, would want to expand, would want to look at new markets, and so it gets into an arrangement with Tata. Standard cycle market is where it is neither slow nor fast, and it is building up market power. And why a company would want to collaborate in a standard cycle market is to increase its market share, okay, to also many a times overcome trade barriers. And let us look at the example of Tata Motors and Jaguar. So why did Tata Motors acquire Jaguar?
And to grow international exposure.
To reach out to the international market. What else?
Ma'am, to improve their technology.
Exactly, to pool resources for larger projects and improve their technology. What else? To overcome trade barriers, right? If Tata was to start something on their own, it would have been tough for them. But this enabled them to overcome the trade barriers. Gain access to complementary resources. You're already staying put in an international terrain. It becomes easy for you to get something complementary as well. And of course, to gain market power. So when organizations collaborate, when organizations move into a strategic alliance, it is always with certain vested interests, certain goals to achieve. Fast cycle market is a red ocean strategy pool where you have everything moving in fast pace. The speed, they're all called speed up products, especially FMCG products, services, or even so why is it that companies get into some kind of an alliance in the fast cycle market? So again, here I've given you Facebook and Instagram because both are in the fast cycle market, isn't it? In a market which is moving fast, the number of people joining Facebook and Instagram is at great speed. The kind of advertisements that are put on Facebook and Instagram is also something that enables companies to reach out to masses. So in a fast cycle market, what you notice is speed up the product. So if you're able to get into a strategic alliance and speed up the product, I think that is one of the objectives. Service or even market entry, also capturing the market share, maintain market leadership. So you also want to maintain market leadership. So that's the reason FB collaborated with Instagram or acquired Instagram, isn't it? They could notice that Instagram was gaining momentum. The youth could mostly be found in Instagram. And FB took advantage of this and immediately, realized that acquiring or collaborating with Instagram was very important decision that they need to take. The same is true even with WhatsApp, right? So what is the reason? You want to maintain market leadership. You want to be a leader in the social media. And that is what made Facebook take these actions. Form an industry technology standard. Facebook is now talking about Meta. Don't miss out on a wonderful talk by Mark Zuckerberg on Meta and what Meta means to them and how technology is going to be very different in the coming future. So what we see now is a very small or minuscule percentage of what's going to happen. Robotics and Meta technology. Meta is really going to, empower companies. Do watch that video and get to know what exactly Meta is talking about, how AI and ML are going to gain prominence. Share risky R&D expenses. So in a fast cycle market, you also want to know how things are doing well and why they are doing well. And when you collaborate, you're also looking at reducing your R&D expenses, or rather sharing it with the company that you're going to be merging with. Overcome uncertainty. And especially again with Facebook, Facebook was faced with uncertainty. When all these like Instagram, WhatsApp started popping, Facebook started realizing the uncertainty. And that's when they decided to overcome this uncertainty by collaborating with Instagram. What are the types of strategic alliances? You actually have business level strategic alliances and corporate level strategic alliances. Again, it's easy to differentiate because business level, as I have always categorically mentioned, it is getting closer to your customer, right? It is moving closer to your customer. That means it is all about your product and services and promotional strategies. That's business level. Complementary alliances. What is complementary alliances? When we talk about business level strategic alliance, we are talking about complementary alliance. What is it? Adding further value, right? Like if you looked at the IBM case, adding more products, that's a complementary alliance. It's adding complement to your own product. So it is actually building value for your company. Competition reduction alliances, where you want to reduce the competition. How do you reduce the competition? Either by acquiring or merging, right? Looking at strategy that can enable you to reduce the competition. Competition response alliances. What is this? How do you respond to competition? There are various ways you can respond to competition, isn't it? Could be building quality, could be reducing prices for the product. What else?
Better marketing than competitors.
Using better promotional strategies, right? All these are competition response. And for this, again, you may kind of collaborate with another organization. Uncertainty reduction alliances. Like we saw with Facebook, there has always been uncertainty reduction. What if? Like when ITM started the EdTech company, okay? The EdTech company, which is called Let's Upgrade. It was an uncertainty reduction alliance, okay, where they had to collaborate or cooperate with another company which was into education technology space. And of course now it is Let's Upgrade that is more known, which is a name that we brought in. Okay, so all these alliances have a reason, and they all actually taper down to becoming the business level strategies. And then when you talk about corporate level strategy, you're talking about diversification, talking about synergistic alliances and franchising. So when we talk of diversification, you're looking at newer products and you're expanding the organization to add more new verticals. Take the example of Tata's or Reliance. Reliance has acquired in the past so many companies so that they could get into diversification. And this diversification strategy is what is enabling them to get into, starting their own furniture, starting their own open drive theaters. So all these are all diversification of their own businesses, right? So diversification alliances, synergistic alliances. What is synergistic? Can you give an example of where you can actually talk about synergistic alliances? What is synergy?
When two or more guys come together to form a combined effect.
Okay. So, yes, creating economies of scope between two or more firms, creating synergy across multiple businesses between firms. Like Cisco, I would want you to actually go through this article of Cisco. I'll put it on the chat. So Cisco Systems has many synergistic strategic alliances. And do read that article. It's very interesting. And how they have leveraged out of these alliances. That article talks about how Cisco Systems has leveraged, out of these synergistic alliances. And how these alliances actually create an impact for Cisco. So, yes, we were talking about risk management, right? Competitive risks with cooperative strategies. While cooperative systems offer many advantages, there are also significant risks. There are risks associated with all your strategies, but it's important for you to analyze and be prepared. What if your contract is poorly developed? And the company with whom you have entered into a contract takes advantage. So, poor contract development could be a major concern. Misrepresentation of partners' competencies. So, whenever you're getting into any kind of alliance or cooperative strategy, you're looking at the strength of your partner, right? And if you have evaluated or misevaluated or misrepresented the partner's competencies, then you are not going anywhere. You're going to be in trouble. And this is one of the reasons Tata's got into trouble with Chorus, because of the misrepresentation of the competencies. Failure of partners to make complementary resources available. How about partner not being able to add value? Because any kind of strategy that you're entering into, cooperative strategy that you're entering into, has a very deep purpose. The deep purpose is to create value. And if it is not able to create value, then again you fail. Being held hostage through specific investments made with a partner. Sometimes it so happens that you're not able to move out of your strategic alliance. What happened with Ford, which was into a strategic alliance with Mahindra? It took them quite some time to break that alliance. And after they broke the alliance, Ford still could not, keep themselves standing in the Indian market, and they had to leave. Misunderstanding partner strategic intent. Sometimes, if you're not clear and transparent, you would not be able to understand your partner's intent. Again, that can misfire them. So it all boils down to value creation. Any kind of strategic alliance, be it cooperative, be it merger, be it acquisition, any kind of alliance is actually meant to bring value. It has to create value. If it does not create value, then it is going to perish. What happened to Air Deccan and Kingfisher? Right? So Kingfisher Airlines was doing extremely well, and they wanted to grow further. That is when they acquired Air Deccan. And what happened? The outcome was not value creation. The outcome was value destruction, because Kingfisher was always known as a premium airlines. They created confusion in the minds of people by acquiring Air Deccan, which was known as a cost leader. Okay, it was not a premium airlines. And then there was a lot of confusion and chaos, and ultimately Kingfisher had to shut shop. So what you have to understand is, unless and until there is value creation, things will not work out well for the organization that is collaborating. Let's look at the acquisition of Air India by Tata's. There's a lot of emotional reason also for the acquisition, isn't it? It is not just for, it's not just for diversification. There is a deeper reason for this particular alliance. And the alliance has got more to do with the emotions of Tatas. Does anybody know what is it? Why do I say emotions?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
Ma'am, I have read in the Tata's book. It is a JRD Tata's famous, heartfelt company. Like he started it. He is the first one in the aviation sector, but it was forcibly taken by the government as a in the name of privatization. Not in the name of privatization. They want to take it as a government-owned airlines, since every other government have. So it was forcibly taken, and now they have retaken back from the government in the name of privatization.
Right. During Indira Gandhi's time, they took over Air India from Tatas. Now to regain or get back that entity that was founded by JRD, that was an emotional or sentiment value for Tatas. So you always look at what is that value which is making you get into an alliance, right? There are also values that are added to any kind of alliance. Sometimes intangible value, like emotions is an intangible value, right? Revenue is a tangible value, but emotions is an intangible value. So that's the kind of value that you want to add whenever you're getting into any kind of strategic alliance, be it even cooperative strategies that are adopted by organizations. Though cooperative strategies may be short-lived, but if you look at an acquisition or a merger, which are again, with the mutual consent, are long-term strategies. So with this, we come to the end of this session on cooperative strategies. We still have 3 more sessions to go, out of which in one session, I will be giving you test of all that has been done. Okay, so I think that will be somewhere in your 15th session. So 14th, again, I'll complete. 15th session, I will give you a test. And the 16th session, we will do a complete revision for the examination. Okay, so this is how it would go. We only have 3 more sessions to go. Thank you so much and have a nice day, all of you. Yeah, so in the last class, when I am doing a revision, I'll do everything right from the beginning that, right from the beginning to the end, whatever we have done, I will be explaining. So at that time, I'll also explain international strategies. But doing a separate 45 minutes session will be difficult. So I'll try and cover it in the last session. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice day, all of you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.